Hello guys, I was making this environment in Blender and I wanted to have an animated version of this shot, and I was thinking it could be cool to have the sky move like it was actually moving in real life. And I was playing around with some stuff and I actually figured a way to make something that looks quite interesting. And you can see that I have the sky moving right here. It's just a simple HDRI, it's not an animated HDRI. So yeah, I was thinking of, taking there's like time-lapse HDRI available online, or you could have just time-lapse of the sky being right here. But sometimes time-lapse is just going too fast and you just want like the sky to move very slowly. And the technique that I'm using in this shot is close to something that's pretty common in VFX work, and actually I've learned this from, I think, Ian Hubert back in the time. Like this image to plane, use a sky photo. So I don't know, any photo where you see like the environment in the background, like the horizon line, and you can see if I have this photo right here and I just look at this, okay, I can take the vertices here and hook this to a new object. Hook to new object, sorry. I just hit the wrong one. And you can see now I can move this plane, and if I move this on the x-axis, so maybe this is not the perfect photo to do this, but you can see that it's somewhat, if you look at this place here, kind of looks like the sky is moving up a bit. Maybe if I add just something here, yeah. There's like this effect of the sky moving. And this is a common technique, and this works with image texture. But how would you do such a thing with an HDRI? Let's import an HDRI right now. I'm going to use an overcast HDRI for this example, and it will make sense later because I'm going to talk about some parallax system. Most people would just use an HDRI and don't touch, maybe rotate it like this. Oh, and by the way, you can see that it's pretty slow. Whenever I try to change something, it's cycles the strength to load the RAM every time. And this is annoying. I'm just going to use Eevee for now. So what I was saying, most people would just like rotate the HDRI, just have it in the proper orientation. But you probably played with the location and scale. So you can see, for example, if I change the scale, it looks like I'm taking a sphere and I'm scaling it this way. And we're inside the sphere. You can see like this. This is kind of how it looks like. It just looks like I'm like scaling a sphere, which can be useful, but we're not going to touch it right now. But then there's location, which is more interesting. You can see that you can change the location on the X, Y, and then the Z. Z is actually useful for like the horizon line. What's interesting for us today is the X and Y axis. Right now there's an issue. If I'm trying to move on the Y axis, for example, the sky at the top is moving like the way we want, but the horizon is moving at the same speed. And the way you would do this is to change the y-axis, for example, based on the z-axis of the generated coordinates. So if you separate the coordinates and you take the z-axis, you can see that it goes from 0 right here all the way to 1 at the top right here. And you can really see it, but right here it's 0, and all the way at the bottom it's -1. It's going to be an issue. And we can actually just clamp this value. Everything that's below 0, it's just going to be 0, so it's fine this way. And then, instead of like doing a combine XYZ and just plugging it in the Y, for example, I would do a scale, so scale operation, and then I'm just going to plug this into the scale, and then this into the location. This allows me to have more control over the direction. For example, if I do a normalized, you can see that I can change the direction, and it's going to be like where the sky is moving. And then if I want to control like the intensity, I can just add a multiply in between, and this controls the intensity. And you can see that right now with just this setup, it works just like we did before with the images plane, but it's in the whole HDRI now. So it just looks like the sky is playing, and it should actually be enough for like most of the thing you will do. If I use, for example, something else, I don't know, HDRI Heaven, let's try one with clouds. Yeah, let's try this one. If I do this, it kind of looks pretty nice. Like it does a job, If you just want like subtle movement, by the way, now we have some time in the shaders, so I can use this. And I don't know, I multiply this by 0.1, and I play the timeline. It just looks like the sky is moving a bit, which is great. And this might actually just be it, like for what you need. But just for fun, let's go back to the overcast. I noticed that the overcast HDRI has this kind of displacement map look in it. So it's a bit wrong to tell this, but the HDRI right here, you can see it's darker than right here, for example, or right here. You can see that this part, which is darker, is closer to the ground, and this one, which seems higher up in the sky. And it kind of is in every place in this HDRI, and this is why we can kind of take this as some sort of height map just from the color information. But of course we have like these blue sky things that we know obviously that it is higher in the sky, but if you look at the value you can see that this is darker even though we know it is in the sky. So it's gonna be weird just at this place, but most of the rest it's pretty fine. So how do you do the parallax in the HDRI? The whole thing is this value right here, which is how much it moves. And you basically want what's closer to the ground move faster when you change this value. So just for demonstration, I'm just going to duplicate this like 3 times, and I'm gonna put this in the frames. I'm just gonna say, okay, this is for the bright parts, this is for the mid parts, and this is for the dark parts. If I just take a value right here, I'll multiply it 3 times by 3 different multiply operations, and one will be just 1, then this one will be 1.2, or 1.5, I don't know, maybe 0.2, and then this one will be 1.4. And I plug this in here, and in here. And actually this one I don't need to multiply because it's 1, so it's just this value by itself. So now you can see, you can clearly say that this is moving slower than this one, and it's moving slower than this one. And all that matters now is how we mix these call information together. So we can just mix this one into this one, and this one into this one. And basically we just have to create a mask from this value that goes into the factor, and it has like to exclude the light parts. So I'm just going to use a color ramp for demonstration. So right now I'm plugging the color directly into the color ramp, but you might want to separate the color and have the HSL lightness into it. It's just, you know, it makes more sense. And you basically like want to scrub this, okay, and say this is the light parts, and you still want this to be linear, or maybe is, and yeah, just have this region like this maybe, and just look into here, and I think the B is like what's white, so you might want to inverse this. Alright, and then you just repeat the same process right here. But now you exclude even more light parts. You just keep the dark parts of it. Okay, so let's see, maybe more like this. Okay, yeah, this looks great. Alright, and now if I done this properly, and let me actually just widen the view a bit, maybe 24. If I change this value, you should see some parallax going on. Yeah, check this out. So maybe if I accentuate this by 0.8, like 0.4. Now you can see that the dark parts are moving a bit faster, and it kind of looks like there's parallax going on, and this is great. Actually, I just want to see like if I can do this, like 4 and 2. Yeah, this actually works pretty nicely. Okay, but now you can see we have just 3 layers, which is, you know, it's not bad. It could be useful to have 3 layers. Actually, most people might be happy with these results, but I wanted to see like how far can I get this. What if I want like, I don't know, 16 layers, and I don't want to do this manually like 16 times, it would be a huge pain. So the idea here is to use the repeat zone. So if I do a repeat zone, this is great. This is a feature that has been added into Blender shaders. I mean, it's been a while, but I don't see like many people use it like on actual look dev systems. I've seen it used mostly for stylized texturing and stuff like this, but for this setup it does make sense to use it. But you just want to have all of this inside the repeat zone. You start by having a mix node. You plug this one into the B and the A into the new input in the repeat zone, and you just repeat this. So A goes into A, it adds B, then it goes back to A, and when it repeats the output from here goes back here. You can see that the input is white, So I would want to do this, but actually we will have so many layers that we probably just won't see this one anymore. We won't see the first layer anyways. And we also want to have the iteration count to influence on the multiply here. So if I just plug this in here, you can see that it doesn't work because I'm previewing, but I have to preview this, and now it works. Yeah, it's great, but it does nothing for now. I mean, you can see it does add a lot of things, which is weird. But basically, we still want to do the same thing as before, so separate color. Take the lightness from this. And yeah, I can preview this for now, so I'm just gonna remove the iteration. And I just want to see the lightness. The first step that you have to do is to kind of remap the HDRI between 0 and 1 for the darkest value and the brightest value. So you can just take a map range and just change the from min and from max values, so it's the perfect range. You can see I'm gonna try to increase this value from min. Right now it's too dark, but just find the right value, you know. I don't know, 0.4, 0.5, 6, 8. Okay, let's go 7. And then for the bright values, I guess I can do 0.9. Yeah, it's already pretty bright right here, so it's fine. And then what you want to do from now is another map range, and this one is going to act like the color ramp we had just before, but this is going to be a map range because we have just more control over it. So just plug this into here, and we want, like, if I just look at this, we kind of want to play with the from min and from max to be our selection of like how much be our selection of value range. So if I like put this to 0.4 and this to 0.5, for example, you can see that now it kind of looks like what we had with the color ramp before. And if I scrub this value, you can see that it's selecting some value range. And by the way, just like we did before with the ramp, we just want to change the minimum to be 1 and the maximum to be 0, just because, you know, we're gonna add the B onto the A. So yeah, if I'm just playing this, so it goes from 1 and slowly it's gonna go all the way to 0. And the way you would do this is by using the iteration count. So you just want selection to be kind of automatic based on the iteration count. And yeah, I'm saying iteration count, but it's exactly the index of the current iteration. The way you would do this is to plug this into another map range, because you know it's going from 1 to 0 slowly. So you just want it to go from 1 to 0, and the maximum should be the maximum iteration count. So in this case it's 64, but considering you might want to change this value dynamically, you can just add an integer value right here. Let's do 64 for now, and just plug this into the maximum value. And now if you plug this into the from minimum, okay, so it makes an error, but it's just because I'm previewing this, and since it's using the iteration count, we cannot really preview this value. I just have to preview the final results of the repeat zone, so we can't really preview what we're doing right now. But basically the from max has to be some of this value, but slightly higher. They just want to add, add, plug this to the add, and add a small value like 0.1, and just plug this into here. And now we can just plug it to the factor. It should work, but we can't really see anything for now because it depends on how we're moving it. Everything is moving at the same rate right now, at the same ratio, speed. And we basically just want to do the same thing as we did here, but for the translation. So yeah, all you have to do is just do the same thing as here. Just take the map range, plug the iteration count here, have the from max to be the maximum iteration count. And yeah, the map range now is basically how much you want the sky to move. So the 2 min represents how the bright parts, so the high and the sky, move. I'm just gonna keep this to 1 right now. The 2 max is gonna be the dark clouds, so what's closer to us basically. So I'm just gonna put this to 4, just like we did before, and plug this into here. And you can see that it's playing with our sky, where we can't really have any slider now, so just multiply this value right here. And I'm just gonna put the value right here, just so we know that we have to play with this one. And you can see it works already. You can see if I play the sky, there's like some sort of parallax going on, which is great. It's actually exactly what we want. And you might want to have 2 min to be like, I don't know, 3, and the 2 max to be, you know, slightly like that, so you have some range, you know, before it looks really strange. And you know, if you have this value really high, it's gonna look kind of weird, but as long as you're not like, as long as you're doing just a small movement. So for example, instead of having this value here, I'm using a in time seconds, have a math multiply by 0.1, so it's kind of slow, and then add, so it starts like here. Yeah, you can see we have little movements, and the sky is moving, and we have the parallax going on in the clouds, and to me it looks really cool. And that's really just it for now, but we can take this even further. I will just plug this for now, just so we can play manually with the values. So you can see before we had just 3 steps, and if I just move this like here, it's kind of what we had before. So if I just plug this to, if I set this to 1 and I scrub the value, it's really just like what we had before, which is great. You can basically play now with this map range. For example, if you plug a blood curve, this controls like the profile of the cloud. So let's go back to 64, which was a high value, maybe 128. This is like the profile. I don't really know how to explain this, but basically it selects like how much of the bright parts do you want to keep and how much of the dark parts to keep. So if I plug this like really far, you can you see that you can kind of play with the shape of the clouds, and it's pretty interesting. But what I wanted to talk about is also like how, you know, when you going to the extreme, it kind of looks like actually 3D, you know, it's pretty bad. So the whole idea is to be able to play with the add value right here. The more you increase this value, the softer it will look in the sky. So you can see if I put this very, very low, like I don't know, 0.1, it looks extremely sharp in the edges, and some people might like it. I don't think it looks too bad, but it looks kind of CG, you know, and you don't want to, and you can see the stepping, by the way, right here. If I increase this value to maybe, I don't know, 500, the stepping now is almost invisible. So it's pretty funny actually to just use the amount of steps. But yeah, if I just increase this value, so actually 0.1 is not too bad actually, but 0.2 is more interesting. You know, 0.15, 0.2, and then you can change from linear to smooth step, for example, smoother step even. And yeah, just I don't know, have this to 0.1, change this value right here, and it doesn't look too bad. Then I don't play with these shapes. I like when it's like this maybe. Oh, actually I don't know if I like it. It looks like it has less parallax. And then that's when you can start putting this into a grip. So J. You can name this one Parallax HDRI. I like to change the color of my group, so color tag maybe texture. Yeah, great. Hide the node options, and then rename this socket HDRI. And yeah, great. So we can maybe have this as the softness. You just drag this value group input and name this softness. It has to be a factor between 0.001. I don't want this to be 0 because I believe it's gonna look weird if it's, if it's 0, it's just gonna look weird. But if it's 0.1, it's great. So yeah, have this be 0.1. The maximum has to be, I don't know, 1. You can see if it's precisely 1, it looks kind of weird. So maybe 0.5 is the maximum softness. And actually, I want to try this, but I'm not sure if I, instead of add right here, subtract the same value as here, right? The softness should look more uniform. Yeah, I think it works. That's great. Cool. Then very important, I want the user to be able to control the remap of the HDRI, because every HDRI is not the same. So I'm just gonna put this into a group input and this as well. And I will just play this into a panel because it looks better this way. All right. And I think I want the user to be able to preview this value. So I'm just gonna have this HDRI as a separate thing and just have exactly the same setup right here. And this is just for preview purposes. I'm just gonna plug this in here. And actually the output, I think I'm gonna place map right here. So you can just do this and preview the remap. Oh, sorry, it has to be plugged in here. And if you see like some red, it means that the selection is wrong. You just have to change. This is why I actually put red right in here. Yeah, it has like strong effect. Ooh, and I might want to, maybe add a color ramp right here. And everything that's really, really bright has to be red. Oh, instead of doing, this is quick and dirty, so I might want to do a greater than 1, and then just mix color and set this to red and just plug this into here, which makes more sense. Oh, and I have to unclamp this. Yeah, so now you can see as soon as you hit this, and you might want to do the same thing but less than 0. You might want to do the same thing but less than 0. Then math add that is to be here. Yeah, and now you can. Yeah, so I think 7 is great, and then just keeping this to 1 is just perfect. Right now we have the softness. We obviously want the translation, so I'm just gonna let this be a group input. Name this translation. This 0 as default. Yeah, so we can change the translation right here. And then we want we obviously want as well the direction. The group input direction. And direction should be only in 2 dimensions. So you know, if you do like on the z-axis, people might I don't know, people might want to do it this way, but I think nobody would actually want to use this. So I'm just gonna set the dimensions to 2D. So right now you can only change the direction. And actually there's a fun way to play with this. You can change the subtype to be direction. And now we have this fun interactive here. And actually I think it's broken when you set it to 2D it's kind of broken, so you just edit it back 3D. And pretty funny because you can play with the direction this way. But I think it's a bit weird to play with this, so I'm just gonna keep this known. Maybe direction by default should be 1 here and 0 here. Oh, and we obviously want to do the range of the translation group input. And here, so I'm gonna have panel as well. I'm gonna play these two into panel and rename this translation range. Alright, so this is just how much of translation do you want? I don't know, maybe 2 here and 0.5 here. And now, yeah, if you change translation, it works perfectly. Okay, so we've basically done it now. But the only issue is that we can't really select the HDRI right now. And we don't want people to go inside the node group just to change the HDRI. So you can actually do something for it, and it's evaluate closure. Just plug this to here, like the vector into here, and then the color into here, and just change this to color. It's not very important, but it will be. And you might want to do the same thing in here. So just delete this at the same node right here, right? And now if you change the closure, you have the group input, and just do the same thing right here. Now we have a closure right here. We might want to put this all the way to the top. And yeah, so right now we can't see anything, but if you drag and click and just click on closure right here, we now have a zone in here that we can add our environment texture. Just plug this like this and just have the HDRI. And yeah, now we can access to everything outside of our Parallax HDRI. So you can still change like the translation in here. But if you want to rotate, for example, the HDRI, you can just add a mapping node right in the zone and just rotate, and it will work just as you expect. And that is pretty cool because that direction doesn't change really. Well, that's it. I guess this is all we need. We have the Parallax HDRI here. You can change the softness of the sky. Maybe have it really sharp or really soft. Maybe change direction to be diagonal, maybe just horizontal, maybe like this, I don't know. Change the clouds movement, maybe 2 here, 1 here, maybe 0. 0 looks kind of weird. I can remap the preview with like red as length values, and I can set the HDRI right in the zone right here and change the rotation of the HDRI just like I would do all the time. This node is available on my Patreon and the link is below, and I hope you learned something from this video, and have a good one. Bye.